Hi everyone, I'm Allie.
Hi, I'm Anna.
And today Anna is going to be sharing a video with you on her Rio earrings. So the Rio earrings Anna made with all different components that have been in previous boxes, and we were going to do this live for you because that's the style that Anna prefers. But we're sitting in here today and we are going to record them. That way we can do them in a little bit more detail, and hopefully everybody can gather up the materials, gather up your bead on it board, and get started in a number of different stitches. What stitches are we touching on?
Okay, so if we start at the bottom, we have fringe. Moving up, we have ladder, and then moving up farther, we have right angle weave.
Great, so gather up all those materials for which you can use a ton of different supplies, and Anna will go over that and we'll get started.
So I'm going to start out by just going over the material list so you know what you need. We have some tubelets here, and I have aluminum silver. You're going to need 6 of them per earring. And then I have the Miyuki Seed Beads in 11-0. And then I have Miyuki Seed Beads in 15-0. We have some disco balls here, and these are going to go on our fringe, as well as the Aztec Gold Czech Rounds in 4mm. So you can use a number of different beads for the fringe, but I liked something graduated, so I have some 4 and 6mm beads. And then I also have some bicones here. These are the 4mm Potomac Crystal Bicones. So those you can see are on that fringe. So just like something graduated and something heavier on the bottom. So that's why I chose the disco balls. So to get started, we're going to cut ourselves a length of beading thread. Whatever you're comfortable with, I'd probably stick with about 5 feet or so. Whatever you're comfortable with using, you can always add more on. And one earring isn't going to take up a lot of thread. So I have a stop bead on the one end, and I'm going to start by picking up 2 of my tubelet beads. I'm going to loop around here, so I'm going to go through my first tubelet bead, so I'm going away from the stop bead, and give that a nice tight pull. And this is a ladder stitch. So what we're doing is we're just placing one tubelet bead next to the other. So I'm working to my right here. So I'm coming out of the bottom of my first tubelet bead. So I'm going to go up through the second one. And I'm going to pick up another tubelet bead. And same thing, where I'm going to circle around here. And as I pull my thread tight, that will pull my tubelet bead next to the other one. And same thing here, I'm going to go down now through that tubelet bead that I just added, pick up my next tubelet bead, and go down there through the tubelet bead that I just previously added, give it a nice tight pull. And you want to make sure that it's not loose. You're going to be adding, of course, to this, so you'll have opportunity to make it a little bit tighter, but the less excess thread that you have and the tighter it is now, the better your project's going to be later. So I'm just going to continue this until I've added all 6 of my tubelet beads. So now that you have your 6 tubelets attached with ladder stitch, we're going to start to build the fringe on the bottom. And so you can see in the fringe in my sample here, it's just going to gradually get longer and longer. So we're going to start off with our first fringe, and my first fringe is going to be a 15-0, a 4mm round, 15-0, a disco ball, 15-0. If you've noticed a pattern, there's a 15-0 between everything. And then a crystal here, a 4mm bicone. And then we're going to add a little little picot trim here at the bottom, because you need something there to stop your beads, of course, from falling off. So I'm going to use a 15-0, an 11, and a 15-0. I'm going to go back up through my crystal. So just let those 3 beads alone. Don't go up through them because they're going to be your stop at the end in your fringe. So we're going to go up through the crystal, all my 15-0s, all the beads that I've just added. And we'll try to do it all at once. Yep. And give that a pull. And you don't want to pull so hard that it's stiff, but you want to pull hard enough that you're getting all of the excess thread out of there so you don't have like any slack in there. But you don't want to pull so hard that it's stiff and it doesn't swing on its own. So that's my first piece of fringe. And I'm going to hop over to my next tubelet. I'm going to pick up one 11-0 as I do that. And then my next fringe here, I'm going to be gradually making each one a little bit longer. So my next fringe, I'm going to keep the bottom half the same. So this initial fringe is always going to be at the bottom of all of them, but I'm just going to add on to the top. So my next one, I'm going to pick up 15-0, 4mm round, 15-0, and then another 4mm round, 15-0, and then the same pattern that I picked up on the first fringe. So I've got my disco, 15, crystal, and then my little fringe at the bottom that will hold everything on, and back up through all of those beads except the little fringe at the bottom. So I'm going to go up through all the beads starting with that crystal. As you come up through the top of your tubelet, do not go through that 11-0. You want that 11-0 to stay right where it was. It's just going to straddle between the first and the second tubelet, and there's your second fringe. So we're going to repeat this, and again pick up another 11-0 and go down into the next tubelet. So my fringe for this one is going to be the same as the first and the second, but I'm just going to pick up a third round. So that's going to elongate this fringe by the length of one of my rounds here. And again, just a 15-0 between everything. 15-0 adds a little bit of length and a little bit of color. I also just like the shape, how it spaces those rounds out. So it gives you a nice little bit of, it breaks up the shape so it's not so blocky. And again, the fringe on the bottom here is always going to be the same pattern. My stop bead fringe at the bottom. And then I'm going to go through all my beads again, starting with that crystal. Oops. As your fringe gets longer, it's going to be harder to do it just in one fell swoop. So go through a couple different times. Go through half your fringe and then go up through the rest of the half of the fringe. And you can tell if your fringe is getting too stiff if when you pull, your fringe is trying to pull to one side or the other. You can tell. So just give it a nice little tug, just loosen it up. Make sure that you don't have any slack, so you don't want to see any of your beading thread here. But you just want to make sure you have a nice loose fringe. And I'm going to keep going here. So on to my next tubelet, picking up that 11-0, So we'll build the top of the earring off of these 11 O's. So that's why we need to have those here. So now that I've done 3 of my rounds, I'm going to start adding to the top of the fringe with a pattern of seed beads. So again, I'm going to start with my 15. I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11s, a 15, and then continue with the pattern of the fringe that's next to it. So now that I've finished my fringe, I finished the fringe using the same pattern that I did with the gold rounds here, and I just switched out, instead of using the gold seed beads on the top here, I added a group of 3 11-Os. So I have a group of 3 11-Os, 2 groups, and then 3 groups. So I just continued the pattern there using that different bead. So I've gone down and I've come up through my last piece of fringe here. So my thread is coming out of the top of my last tubelet bead here. And I'm going to start doing a little right angle weave pattern at the top here to build up the top so that we can then attach an ear wire to it. I'm going to go through my 11-O seed bead here. And the right angle weave pattern that I'm going to do is 2 11-Os on the side, 1 11-O on the top, and then 2 11-Os on the side. So for right angle weave, you're always making a series of boxes or squares. So in this case, it's just going to be a little bit more elongated, a little bit more like a rectangle. So when you give it a pull here, you'll have 2, and I'll put it down here so you can see it clearly. You're going to have 2 seed beads on either side and the 1 seed bead on the top and bottom. I'm going to go up through the 2 seed beads on the side. I'm going to pick up 1 11-O. That's going to be the 11-O at the top. Another 2 seed beads for the side. And then I'm going to share, I'm going to pick up this next seed bead that I had used to connect my tubelet beads and go through that seed bead. And then I'm going to go up through the 2 seed beads that I had added from the previous section and give that a nice tight pull. I'm going through the 1 seed bead that's on the top, through the 2 seed beads that are on the side of my little rectangle, and then through the 11-O seed bead next to it, working towards myself here, picking up that 11-O that is sitting between my 2 tubelets. 2 more seed beads for the side, 1 more for the top of this box here that I'm working on. We go down through the 2 seed beads from the side, and then go through the 1 seed bead at the bottom. Up through the 2 seed beads on the side there. Getting my thread tangled. And again, my next box here is going to be 1 seed bead for the top, 2 seed beads for the side, and I'm going to use my bottom seed bead here is going to be the next bead, the next seed bead between the tubelets. Up through the 2 seed beads, through the seed bead on the top, down the 2 on the side, and now I have come to the last seed bead here that's sitting between my tubelets, so I just have to finish up the last little section here. And I'm going to go through all my seed beads in this little square. Up the top here, up through the side. So now what I've added is one row of right angle weave, but every little box has one bead on top, one bead on the bottom, and 2 seed beads on the side. So it's just like an elongated, stretched out right angle weave. And then what I'm going to do on the next row here is use right angle weave again. I'm just going to continue with the right angle weave, sharing the seed beads that are at the top of all these elongated right angle weave sections. And I'm going to do it with just the normal 1 bead on each side. So to start out, I need to pick up 3 beads. Go up through my side bead here, and I'm picking up 2 more beads. Go through the bottom, I'm sharing the bottom, and I'm sharing the side bead. Give it a nice tug, and I'm going to continue on using the right angle weave until I get all the way to the other end of the top of my project. So now that you've finished your right angle weave portion of the top of your earring here, what we're going to do is just pick up with our needle the top seed bead that's sticking out. It's the one that is the top of all of those little right angle weave boxes that you made. And we're just going to take our needle through all of those seed beads. We're not picking up anything else. We're just picking up all of those seed beads with our thread and our needle. And just give it a little pull there. It'll kind of cinch everything together. And then we're going to pick up some seed beads here to form a loop at the top that we can then attach our ear wire to. So it's up to you how many seed beads you want to pick up, if you want to have it hang longer or shorter, but I would suggest having an odd number of beads, and that way you'll have a center bead, and it'll just make it a little bit easier for everything to hang symmetrically. So you can just lay this out here, and as you add the beads, loop it around and see if that looks appropriate to you. So this looks good to me. And then I'm going to come around and pick up all those seed beads again. Again, not adding any, just going through the top of all of those seed beads. And now I've created a nice little loop at the top to hang the ear wire. This would also be a great pendant. So you could also make this longer. You could even add other beads up here. Whatever you want to do, make a pendant, pair of earrings. This would be also, if you did it double wide here, that would also be a really cool pendant too to put it together. So the last thing I need to do here is just tie off my thread. So I'm going to take my threaded needle and I'm just going to go back through some beads here, so I'm somewhere in the middle of my project. I like to have my knot that I tie off somewhere in the middle of the project so that I don't see it poking out on the edge somewhere. And I'm just going to take my needle and take it under some of the thread that's already running through those beads and make a little knot, and I take it through a couple more beads. It's not a bad idea either to enforce the right angle weave portion of the earring here at the top. It'll just make it a little bit stiffer, pull all your beads together, keep the shape a little bit better. So I've got a knot in there and took my extra thread around. So now I can burn that off. And I will do the same with my piece at the end here where I have my stop bead. So then what we're going to do, because I like these very much as earrings, I'm just going to grab an ear wire, open that ear wire up, hang that down, close that ear wire back up. Now this ear wire here has a bit of a larger loop to it, so it works well with the 11-0 seed beads. But if you have an ear wire that has a smaller loop, it doesn't have a lot of room in it, do 15-0s or some delicas, do something a little bit thinner.
Thanks so much to Anna for joining us to create these beautiful Rio earrings.
Yeah, these earrings were inspired by a lot of materials that we had sent in past boxes. So if you want to check out the best bead box, go to PotomacBeads.com. There's a subscriptions tab right there that you can click on. You can check out some past boxes if you want to get a flavor for what you get every month, but every month is very different. But we like to include a lot of things like seed beads and some more basic beads that you can do a lot of just very versatile things. And that was how these little guys were born.
Yeah. So the cool thing with the Rio earrings, each month in your box, you get additional supplies, and these come out of there. So don't ever think, you have your materials and what do? We give you tons of options and tons of info on creating more things with the beautiful items that are in the box. Remember to click on that link below in the description if you do want to get a direct link to check out the box, as well as a link to this video and the supplies. Remember also, give Anna a little thumbs up, click that thumbs up button, and then don't forget to subscribe. Also show your Rio earrings in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making, as well as the Facebook group for the best box. We'll post a picture of Anna hanging in them.
Yes. And we'll have these, and if you make any substitutions, because these are very versatile with the different materials that you can use, if you do any substitutions, if you have any great tips or questions or whatever, share in the Facebook group. We've got the Best Bead Box Facebook group, of course, share there. I love checking that out. Also, beading and jewelry making.
Yeah, and then do some comments below if you do any of those modifications to help out this amazing beading community. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you to Anna, and enjoy your new Rio earrings.